The rulings from the Supreme Court today allowing political gerrymandering and blocking, at least for now, the addition of a citizenship question on the census. They're going to have major impacts on our elections and also how our government works for at least a decade, if not much longer. Now, what will those impacts be? Well, for that, we turn to a woman who served California for 34 years in the Capitol, first as a congresswoman, then as a U.S. Senator, Barbara Boxer. I spoke with the senator just after the court's rulings came down this morning. When you saw the ruling come down as it related to gerrymandering today from the high court, I got to tell you, for those of us who say how polarized Washington is, this seemingly is just going to even put it on steroids. What was your reaction when you saw the ruling and the consequences about, I don't know, in many ways, codifying into law what everybody thinks is a bad idea?
Well, basically, the idea of redistricting is to draw fair lines so that communities that really belong together have a voice. And when you have partisan gerrymandering, whoever's doing it, Republicans or Democrats, the purpose is different. It's to get as many seats for your party. So it's wrong. And I do want to say, in all honesty, in the years that I started out in the 80s, California was blue in the state and drew lines that I thought were great. But I was wrong. It's way better to have a commission. We have a commission now. And I think the Supreme Court missed a very important opportunity here to strike a ruling that would mean elections are fair, because they're really undermining, one person, one vote with these gerrymanders that have become just horrible. The last point I'd make is there is a bill apparently in the United States Senate. Senator Cardin of Maryland talked about it today, that would require to take the partisanship out of this and create these commissions, these nonpartisan commissions. So all hope is not lost, but it's a bad decision for sure.
There have been a lot of fears about what the Roberts Court would look like, especially with the current makeup. You've heard those concerns from Democrats, where today could be in many ways the beginning of upending precedents. Obviously, people with their eyes down the road to Roe and even affirmative action, et cetera. Are those fears founded?
Well, it's very nerve-wracking because when you listen to Trump, when you hear his rationale for why he picks judges, it's obvious he's got litmus tests on a women's right to choose. He's got litmus tests on partisanship and, civil rights and all the rest. So it's very disturbing. I would say there was another decision where Roberts crossed over to vote with the Democrats, which was heartening, although it's still nerve-wracking, which had to do with the census, adding a question asking people if they were citizens. And we all know what happens then. People who are nervous, even if they are citizens, they're nervous. They're not going to partake in the census, and that goes against the Constitution. We need to know who's here, because we need to know how many seats you get in the House of Representatives and who gets the funding if there's some communities that really need help. So Roberts joined with the liberals, but he left the door open to this question. I wish he would have slammed it shut.
I want to play for our audience a soundbite from your former colleague, Mitch McConnell, a few years back. You were sitting in the room when he said the following.
The American people may well elect a president who decides to nominate Judge Garland for Senate consideration. The next president may also nominate somebody very different. Either way, our view is this: give the people a voice in filling this vacancy.
You were there for the Merrick Garland episode. In the end, McConnell, people may have thought, and I think most, that it was hardball, if not dirty politics, the way that all went down. But did you have any idea back then, consequentially, what that could have and now has turned into in terms of the makeup of the court and potentially an activist court?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I knew it at the time. And, Mitch McConnell, who I served with for many, many years, we disagreed 98% of the time. We teamed up on a highway bill before I left. But before that, we really didn't talk much, because I did not think he was there for the right reasons, which to me is to make life better for people. But he's so hypocritical on this, because he claimed he was not allowing a vote on Garland because we're close to an election, and now he smiles and laughs and says, oh, even if there were just a few months of Trump's term, I would bring it up for a vote. So he is a blatantly partisan person, and he's not happy in his work. At least it seems to. I used to have somebody say, are you happy in your work? He's very grumpy about everything, and I don't know why he's there, to be honest, other than to fulfill some very bad right-wing, far-right agenda, which is not good for the people.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll have much more with Barbara Boxer on today's other hot topics, including that haunting photo of a migrant father and his daughter who drowned in the Rio Grande, and the increasingly tone-deaf response from our president. That and much more after this.